Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Vera Manu. If this is your first time stopping by, you are very welcome to the family. If you're coming back again, clicking again to watch my videos, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate you guys. If this is your first time stopping by, make sure you click that subscribe button. Make sure you join the family. Please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 2K subscribers very soon, so fingers crossed we're gonna get there soon. So today I'm gonna be talking about 7 ways to identify when you're becoming a negative person, right? So the previous video was how to be more positive in 2022. Now I want to talk about how to identify when you're becoming a negative person. That way you can actually make those changes to be positive in 2022. So the first way to identify that you're becoming a negative person is when you're always polarizing every single thing that happens in your life. So this simply means that anything that happens in your life is either good or bad. Like it's either black or white, good or bad. There is no middle ground, nothing. It's either you have to be a perfect person or you've completely failed in life. Having that kind of mindset will always put you on edge. It will always make you nervous, and it also make you like afraid to try out new things. You're always going to be in a negative space. Everything that's like outside of your comfort zone, or everything that isn't like promised and isn't guaranteed, is always going to make you get into a negative space. Pretty much everything in life will make you get into a negative space because nothing in life is guaranteed, right? So if you're always polarizing everything, it's not going to allow you to have fun. It's not going to allow you to, like just be yourself and enjoy the moment. You're always, trying to find something to make the situation better, to make the situation perfect. And trying to be perfect all the time is only going to make you to be not so perfect, honestly. Like it's just going to make you get into a negative headspace. In life, it's really hard for something to be perfectly good or perfectly bad. Like I said in the previous video, I talked about this already. Try and find the silver lining in every bad situation that you find yourself in. If somebody cancels on you, that is not completely bad, and neither is it completely good, right? It's bad in the sense that, okay, somebody's cancelled on you, a plan that you made has been shattered. But it's also good in the sense that now you're gonna have time to spend with yourself. You're going to have time to catch up on your favorite Netflix shows. You're gonna have time to call your other friends, like that kind of stuff. So it's not always bad. It's not always black or white. Life is never like that. So the second way for you to identify that you're becoming a negative person is when you participate in something called filtering. Filtering is when you magnify the negative aspect of your life and filter out the positive aspect of your life. So for example, let's say you had a really good day at work. You had so many tasks that you had to complete, and you completed all those tasks. Your bosses gave you compliments. They talk about like how speedy you were and how well you did everything. Instead of focusing on how good your day was and how you completed the task, instead now you're focusing on how much more tasks you have to complete the next day. That's filtering, right? Maybe let's say you got like you had a birthday party, and your gifts were wonderful, your cake was lovely, and there was one person who bought you like a gift that probably wasn't, this, maybe she bought you a dress and the dress wasn't your size. Instead of focusing on how perfect your birthday party was and how nice the gifts were and all the people who showed up for you, you're busy thinking about that one gift that isn't gonna fit you. Like that's filtering. You're always magnifying the negative aspect, and you're just completely forgetting the fact that there are a lot of good that happened in your day, and those good also need to be acknowledged. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging the good things. In fact, if there's only one good thing that happened, there's nothing wrong with focusing on that good thing. Like don't just filter out the good stuff just so that you can magnify the negative stuff that's happening in your life. You're always going to be in a negative headspace if you do that to yourself. And that's on period. The third way for you to identify that you're becoming a negative person is when you're always anticipating the worst. Always. So if you're going out in the morning, you're going to work, and all of a sudden you're ordering your coffee and the coffee shop gets your order wrong, automatically you just assume that your day is gonna spiral down the drain, everything's gonna go wrong for the rest of the day. If you're, let's say, going out with your friends and somehow maybe your lipstick, you got a smudge on your face, now automatically you're going to assume that this party is going to be the worst, nothing's gonna go well. That's anticipating the worst. You can't always live life on the edge like that, always so nervous, always so anxious. I feel like anybody who's always anticipating the worst, you're always anxious, you're always nervous, you're not going to be able to enjoy life like other people because you're always wondering what's going to go wrong. And that's not a good mind, that's not a good headspace to be in. You need to be able to do things in life freely without always wondering, oh, what's gonna go wrong. Imagine going into like a relationship, a friendship, always wondering what's gonna go wrong. You can't even trust people. You can't even you can't do shit in your life. Like you can't do anything in your life, which is terrible. That's a very bad way to always live your life. Like you have to be able to see the good and sometimes just be optimistic. There's nothing wrong with being optimistic. Just be optimistic. Being optimistic is how you're gonna see more positive things happening in your life. If you think negative things are gonna happen to you, trust me, they will happen to you. I find that a lot of times negative things tend to happen to people who are like so focused on that negative thing. If you're so worried that you're going to spill your coffee on your dress, I promise you, you will spill that coffee on your dress. It's not even it's not because you want to spill the coffee, it's because you're just thinking about the coffee too much and you're going to spill the coffee in your dress, if that makes any sense. If you're worried about, if you're so worried about maybe a pimple creating a mark on your face, that pimple will create a mark on your face. You know why? Because you're going to keep touching that pimple and touching it and touching it and touching it until it eventually creates a mark on your face. So it's the same thing. When you're always so nervous and so anxious and so always thinking that something is going to go wrong, eventually that thing is going to go wrong because you are so hyper focused on it. You can't really just let what is going to be. You're always trying to be in control and you're always trying to, be the one that is guiding things to happen a certain way. That's the way that you want them to happen. And that is really not the way to live life. Like you cannot always anticipate the worst. It's also fine to be optimistic. You can't live life just being a pessimist at all times. Dead that attitude. You shouldn't do that. That's just bad, terrible. It's not good for your mental health at all. Another way to identify that you're becoming a negative person is when you can't take compliments. Like when people compliment you, I typically see this happening in two different ways. One is when somebody compliments you and you're trying to negate your abilities, you're trying to act like you don't deserve the compliment that they gave to you, right? Another way that I also see this happening is when somebody tries to compliment you and you add a negative inference to what they've said. So in the first example, it's like if somebody says, "Oh, this dress is so beautiful," and you're like, yeah, I'm just lucky that the dress fits me today. Typically it doesn't fit me. Like if it was other girls, it would look better on them. Are you kidding me? Just say thank you. Just say thank you. Accept the compliment that the person is giving to you. Somebody says, "Oh, your hair looks beautiful." You're like, "I'm just lucky. Today the thing is just managed to be fine. Like usually my lace is always showing. My forehead is always so big. In fact, I don't even know what happened. I'm just very lucky today." Like, really? Are you trying to tell me that I shouldn't have any confidence in you? Are you trying to tell me that I should look at you as this person who can't have anything good happen in their life? Because that's what you do. When you're always trying to negate your abilities and trying to make it look like you don't deserve anything, you make people to lose their confidence and their competence in you as well, right? You make people not to believe in you. Because if I tell people, "Oh, you did such a great job on that presentation," and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm so lucky. Like I just found this random website, it just stumbled upon." Like you're trying to tell me that I can't trust you with any other task because you were just lucky. It's not because you are good at your job. It's because you are so terrible that God just managed to smile upon you and you're just lucky and you did something right. That's what you're trying to tell me. Right? The second way that I see this happening is when people try to add a negative inference to what people tell them. So for example, if somebody says, "Oh, how did you do at your performance review at work?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, I had really, really good performance review. My bosses said that I was doing everything so perfectly well." But you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing everything perfectly at work, but I don't make enough money." But let me tell you, every time you say a positive thing about yourself and you wrap it up with a negative thing, you're a negative person. You're negative. Why can't you just accept that something is going good for you? Tell me, why can't you just accept that something is going good for you? Instead of saying, "Yeah, I do so good at work, but I don't make enough money." A better way would be, "You know what? I do really good at work. I wish I could find ways to be able to negotiate my salary better." That sounds to me like somebody who's responsible and somebody who is optimistic and somebody who is interested in seeing positive things happening in their life. As opposed to "Oh, my life is just terrible. I'm so great, but my life is just terrible." All right. Another way to identify that you're a negative person is or that you're becoming a negative person is when you're always focusing on the problem rather than the solution. This is so self-explanatory. It's like when something negative happens in your life and then you just dwell and fixate on that negative thing that happened. You're not even thinking about, oh, what am I going to do to move forward? How am I going to make this better? How am I going to, what will I do to move forward? What's the solution moving forward? All you're thinking about is, oh my God, this bad thing happened to me, right? I find that a lot of times when people just focus on the problem, they end up going as far as even making up scenarios of much more worse things that will happen as a result of that one bad thing that happened. So, for example, what am I going to use? I like using work because I think work is just so relatable to everybody. For example, like at work, if let's say you didn't complete a task properly, instead of thinking about how you're going to, learn how to do that task properly, maybe learn how to complete the task properly next time and just focus on the solution going forward. All you're going to be thinking about in your head is, oh my God, I didn't complete the task. Oh my God, my supervisor is going to be mad. Oh my God, I'm going to get fired. Oh my God, I'm going to get a performance review. Oh my God, I'm going to get written up. Calm down. Calm down. Life is not that serious, because if you keep dwelling and dwelling, you're going to overthink yourself into like a pool of negativity. Nobody will be able to dig you out. So like you have to really try and focus on solutions. Be a solutions focused person. Make your mindset a solutions-based mindset, right? If something bad happens or if you're not doing something properly, instead of wondering, oh my God, this is going to go down the drain, ask yourself, what can I do to make this situation better? That's not a bad question. Like, why is that a problem? Instead of making up scenarios of how much worse things are going to get, pick yourself up like the bad bee and the hard guy that you are and focus, like find a solution going forward. If you're always focusing on that negative thing that is going to happen or the negative thing that has already happened and you are spending 20 years talking about it, you are a negative person. And I'm telling you right now, you are not trying to be positive. Because let me ask you a question. If you talk about this negative thing that has happened for the next 20 years, what is going to change? Is the negative thing going to go away? No, it won't happen. So if you're going to be wasting time, like you're just wasting time, honestly, you're wasting your life spending time talking about it continuously. That is not the way to go. And honestly, I wouldn't advise anybody to do that. The sixth way that you can also identify that you are becoming a negative person is when you're always reacting instead of responding. When you react, think about reaction like a reflex reaction, right? It's like when your knee jerks when you hit something, right? That's what the reaction is. It's very quick. You don't think about it. There is no thought involved, and it's also usually very emotional. Very, very emotional, which means that you're more likely to make a very stupid decision or to say something that you're going to regret when you react instead of responding. When you respond, you give yourself time to think about what you're going to say. You give yourself time to figure out the best way to move forward. You also give yourself time to find a solution. When you react, you put yourself in a very highly emotional space, and it's usually a very highly negative emotional space as well. So what tends to happen is you're going to make a whole bunch of bad decisions. Things are going to spiral down the drain. And a lot of times you end up putting yourself into a position that you cannot come out of because you've said something or done something that you just can't take back. Don't do it. Just don't do it, you guys. Try and respond instead of reacting. There's nothing wrong with taking time off to go think about what's happened. Take time off to cool down before you respond. Don't ever, this is something that people need to practice. I know me, I've actually gotten better at this this year. Don't just react to something. Like if somebody says something that you don't like, a lot of times I know there are things in our head that we just want to say. Learn how to keep your mouth shut. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say it, right? Go back, think about what you're going to say, and think about a much more respectable way. Say it how you want somebody to say it to you. Respond to people the way that you would love for somebody to respond to you if you were in their position. Always learn to give people the benefit of the doubt, because every time that you react, you are going to drown yourself and the people involved into a pool of negativity. And that is not necessary. 2022, we are being positive. Don't do it. The final way that I want to talk about is something called personalizing. So personalizing is when something bad happens, or like when something bad happens in your life, you automatically blame yourself. You automatically become the center of attraction, the center of attention. You automatically become the reason why that bad thing has happened. That is personalizing. So if you and your friends are supposed to hang out, you be like, and everybody somehow like maybe cancel because this person had work, this person's child was sick, this person was sick, whatever their reason is for canceling, automatically you tell yourself that they cancel because they don't want to spend time with you. That is a very, very huge problem. You are a very negative person if you're somebody who thinks like that. I'm telling you right now, negative. You can't keep thinking that you are the sole like you are solely responsible for everything bad that happens in the universe. Come on. If you keep doing that to yourself, you're not going to be happy. You're always going to be anxious. You're always going to be on edge. You're always going to be walking around with your chest up high and everything just tense because you don't really know what you're going to do wrong, when really nobody's even looking at you. Nobody's even, like, you're not relevant in that. You're just not relevant in that way, right? So try and not personalize things in 2022. If something happens, understand that whatever reason they're giving you, that's the reason. If somebody says I can't make it because I have to go to work, that's it. It's not because they don't want to spend time with you. It's because they have to go to work. Maybe you should try and ask yourself why they need to go to work. Maybe try and understand why that work was so important to them. If somebody cancels because they just want to have time to rest and maybe rest their head, maybe they just don't feel like going out, it's because they don't feel like going out. It's not because you're a bad person. It's not because they don't want to see you. No, that's not true. So again, like 2022, let's try and take away all this negative energy from ourselves. Even if you're watching this video 20 years from now, try and take away negativity from your life. I don't want you guys to be negative people. Like, there's really no benefit to being negative all the time. Like I said before, being positive is not only going to increase your self-esteem, it's also going to make you more successful in life, because you know that you have a feeling that things are gonna go good, right? When you're negative, you always think that you're responsible for everything bad that happens in the world. You always think that nothing good is gonna come out because everything's just gonna go bad. You're always thinking that, I don't know, everything is just bad. Everything about you is bad. Like, you are just a walking bag of bad things. That's how you move around the world. But when you're a positive person, you know that things are not always going to be rosy. And so for that reason, you always pick on those good things that happen, and you're grateful for those good things that happen. And you learn how to take your lemons and make them into lemonade, which is what you want to be in 2022. Just a quick recap. The 7 ways that you can identify that you're becoming a negative person is: 1, if you're always polarizing things, so things are always black and white for you. If you're always filtering, so every time something happens in your life, you only focus on the bad thing that's happened as opposed to the good thing that's bad, it means you're becoming a negative person. If you're always anticipating the worst, if you're always anticipating that the worst is going to happen in your life, that is bad, you're becoming a negative person. Stop it. If you're always, if you cannot take a compliment, whenever somebody compliments you, you're always like, oh my God, why is she complimenting me? I'm just lucky. Like, this is not how I am every day. Today's just a good day. You're a negative person. Don't do that to yourself, okay? And if you're always focusing on the problem instead of the solution, how the hell do you want to move forward? If you're going to just focus on the problem, my dear, you are a negative person and you're not moving anywhere, because you're going to spend the whole of your life talking about that one negative thing that happened that you cannot even change again. Come on, don't do that to yourself. And now, the 6th way that you can identify that you're a negative person is if you're always so reactive. You're always reacting to what's happening in your life. You don't sit down, cool down, and calm down to think about what's happening before you speak. You speak without thinking. You are a negative person because you're only going to cause trouble when you act like that. And the final way is if you're always personalizing things. If you always feel like you're responsible for everything that happens, you, my dear, are a negative person, because why the hell would you want to be responsible for every bad thing that happens in this world? So let's try in 2022 to not do any of these things that I mentioned. All these 7 things are things that you want to stop doing. And if you want to know the things that you can do to be more positive in 2022, go and watch my previous video that I just uploaded. All right, so if you watched all the way to this point, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for staying with me. Make sure you guys comment down below your most favorite point, your biggest takeaway, your biggest point that you took away from this video. Comment down below, like, ways that you can identify that somebody's becoming negative. Comment down below times when you've noticed that you're becoming negative and what you've done to stop it. I want to talk to you guys in the comment section. And if you really enjoyed this video, just comment anything down below. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, my name is Vera Manu, and I'll see you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, my name is Vera Manu, and I will see you guys in my next video.